Right now, let's get a look at your hot headlines. The U.S. has lost another Navajo Code Talker.
Navajo Nation officials expressing their sadness and condolences over the death of New Mexico State Senator John Pinto. Pinto was part of a dwindling number of Code Talkers still alive. He was born in Lupton, Arizona, and didn't get any formal education until he was a teenager. Pinto was later elected to the New Mexico State Senate in '76. He was 94 years old.